Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am Beck and today I want to talk about COVID because I got it. So I just want to talk a little bit about it and the too long didn't stay part of it is COVID is a pain in the ass. It's like that annoying little sibling that you might have, but it is not anything like the media and other sources make it out to be. And I say that as somebody who is in two of the classifications that put me as a high risk individual. So let's kind of do a brief breakdown. I don't know where I got it from. I think I know. But that's kind of irrelevant. There's enough people that have it now in my area that you can get it from going to Walmart, right? Because there's people that are going to these places. COVID also sits in the air longer. I've spent months reading about it, looking at actual scientific medical journals about it, and most of the masks that y'all are wearing out there don't do nothing. Okay. COVID did hang on little droplets. And so the masks initially did help, but it's since mutated a couple of times. And so now it doesn't need those little water droplets. It is now more like the flu or more like the common cold where I could cough, and if the wind is blowing just right, that particles, the virus, will have crossed the entire parking lot on the air. It doesn't need the droplets because water droplets, right, after 6 feet fall from talking, or even like sneezing is about 12 feet, coughing is about 8 feet, sneezing really, you can get up to 27 feet from a really good sneeze. But if it's attached to the water droplets, that's where it lands. Whereas now, a really good sneeze, you could blow at 100 feet, right? Because if you have the little bit of wind, it floats in the air now, and then it settles on surfaces and stuff like that. Right? That's just the science of it. So I'm thinking I got it sometime last week. I think it only incubated for about 2 to 3 days before I started showing symptoms. Now, they say it can take up to 10 days. I remember it used to say, they used to tell you 27 days. Remember that? Remember 27 days? Now, all of a sudden, it's 10 days. And that's proof that COVID has mutated. That's proof that it's changed. It's not the same COVID that we had back in November, December, January, February, March, and April. In around April, May, it was its first major mutation. And then since then, it's mutated over the summer again. And again, this is just Google searching and reading. There are some people that say that COVID has mutated 13 times since we first found the one strain. And that's entirely possible, right? When we think about the flu vaccine, what is the flu vaccine? Well, it's not a vaccine, number one. It's 3 flu vaccines in one shot. So how does that work? And this is just to kind of help explain how COVID is changing and why I think the vaccines that are coming out are not going to be as effective as just getting it. Your body's immune system is going to be 99.999% more effective. The vaccines are like 90 to 95%. And they're saying you're probably going to have to get a booster shot 6 months or a year or 2 years down the road. Where your immune system, you're good. And as far as we know, only 4 people in the entire world have had COVID twice. And the second time, their body's immune system kicked in so fast that, yes, they recorded positive for COVID, but they showed absolutely no symptoms. And I do believe at least one of those people was immunosuppressed. So their immune system wasn't as strong as other people's. And I think another fella's, his immune system to COVID the first time really didn't do much. Like, it didn't really kick into action. But the second time, it ramped up production, like the antibodies, right away. So how the flu vaccine works is, while we're dealing with summer here in North America, in Australia, it's winter. And so the flu basically goes from our hemisphere to the southern hemisphere, back and forth, back and forth. The flu mutates every time, right? And so what they do is they take the flu in Australia, their flu season, and then they force that flu to mutate, right? They basically just breed it like crazy. And they see what are the most common mutations. They take the 3 most common mutations from that flu, and then that's what they create a vaccine for. And then when you go and you get the flu vaccine, you're actually getting a vaccine for those 3 strains, right? So we had flu A and B, I think it was 2018. And flu B was the worst of the 2, and flu B actually killed children. It was that bad. It was a pretty nasty flu. So the flu is technically a pandemic that just rotates through the world, but we don't stop schools and stuff like that. So COVID kind of is doing the same thing, right? As it breeds, it's mutating. And so you're going to get different strains that are able to live in the host longer, better. And any just basic science, right? Go back to grade 8 science, or grade 9 science when you studied some of this stuff, or if you took biology in high school, you'll know that viruses and bacteria tend to mutate to where they are less lethal to their host, but more contagious. And that's basically what's happened with COVID. It's not as lethal as it was, but it is far more contagious. That's why it's spreading like wildfire right now. Partially, it's because people don't know how to use a mask properly, and that's why the WHO said don't worry about masks, because not wearing them, not cleaning them properly, using the same cloth disposable mask every day for a week, you're more actually likely to give yourself a bacterial staph infection or just some other kind of bacterial or fungal infection that is going to be resistant to antibacterial and antimicrobials. Because, well, what else are you doing if you're constantly wearing these masks? You're constantly sanitizing. Well, what does that sanitizer do? Well, it kills 99% of all germs, good and bad. That's why people's hands are getting cracked and stuff like that. Some people are actually getting sick because they are hand sanitizing so much. Now, with that hand sanitizer, you're also touching your mask and your face all the time, because we do it without even thinking about it. And so you're actually creating a breeding ground for bacterial and fungal and viruses in your mask by doing this stuff. Because sure, you're killing all the bad stuff. That means there's less competition for resources for everything else. Because don't think just because it looks clean that it is clean, right? These things eat very, very small things. If you're out and about, you're inhaling and exhaling. So you're sucking stuff into the mask that gets caught in the mask, and then you're breathing stuff out, and you're forcing stuff. So what happens is you're breathing in the food that some of this stuff will eat, right? And it's a dark, moist, humid environment. That's what bacteria love to grow in. It's warm. And so what happens is you get these little colonies in there, and then when you exhale, when you cough with these masks, you're actually super spreading. You're actually blowing puffs of this stuff out through your mask. So it's actually better for you to just not bother wearing one, because you're going to get a consistent outflow, but it's not the same burst, right? Because a consistent outflow, if you're breathing through your nose or gently breathing through your mouth, and you're walking around, you're most of that stuff you're walking into, so it's getting caught on your clothes and your face and stuff, anyways, right? So you're not spreading it so much. But now when you cough, you just sound out a plume. It's like, have you ever watched the heat vision cameras of people farting? Right? You got underwear on, you got pants on, and you still get this gaseous stuff that comes out. That's basically the same kind of concept. So let's get back to having COVID. As you can tell, I'm alive. I am considered obese. I'm 260 pounds on average. I fluctuate between 255 and about 262. So right now I'm sitting at about 260, which is intentional because I do Santa Claus. That's why I got a lot of this. And so I need to have a little bit of size to fill out the suit a little bit because I do a lot of indoor stuff and wearing the padding and stuff. Oh, I tell you, suit gets hot. It's better to be naturally fat. Now I'm also pre-diabetic or diabetic. I'm one of the two, right? If I don't shower for a few days, I definitely smell sickly sweet. And I have lots of cats with sharp little nails, and they like to do this on my feet or whatever. So I have little cuts and scrapes on my legs, and they take weeks to heal, where they should take days, right? So and that's one of the things that if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, your healing and stuff like that, especially along your legs, goes down. Now, we've heard that some of the higher risk groups are diabetic and obese people. Well, hello, I checked 2 boxes. I am not in the hospital. I am nowhere near having to go to the hospital. So here's what I've had for symptoms. And this is why I think COVID is just annoying. And this is why I think people with dementia are dying more from COVID than people who don't. I feel like the overriding number of deaths are people with dementia for the most part. But if you have cancer, if you have heart disease, I mean, these are the other 2 most common forms of death. In fact, I think they're 1 and 2. Some of these symptoms, I can definitely see weakening your system. Okay, so started off, I had a headache. I had a headache starting last Monday. So this is why I'm thinking this is like a 3 or 4 day incubation period because I pretty much self-isolate all the time. As many people know, I deliver for Skip the Dishes right now because my business has been put out of business. And that's pretty much contactless, right? I walk in, I grab a bag, put it in my bag. I go to people's house, I leave it on the doorstep, knock, ring the doorbell, and I walk away. So the human interaction is minimal. Could I have gotten it from touching a door handle? Absolutely. Absolutely could have. Somebody could have coughed, touched the door handle. Right? Or, again, somebody with the mask on was there previously, coughed, big plume of virus, and it's just floating in the parking lot, right? Hanging out. And then I walk through it, or they sneezed, or something like that. Now, most people I've seen when they've coughed or sneezed, they've actually moved the mask up or down, and then coughed, right, and then they put the mask back up. So now, so now you do this. It hits your hand, and then air pressure forces it down or forces it up. Same with these masks, these shields. Yeah, no, you have to understand pressure, negative pressure, right? You're not saving anybody. Or you cough in that thing, and you're just blowing it against the back, and then it goes out, and then it basically surrounds your head, right? But it exhausts out the sides and exhausts out the bottom, right? Because usually the top has a foam bit. So it's just exhausting the stuff, which is actually creating higher pressure. So now, rather than it going forward and you walking into it and potentially catching it, now you're just blowing it out the sides. And if you're in a Walmart, you've now just laced the aisles beside you, so anybody touches any of that stuff. And because you're coughing, obviously more is coming out. So whereas if you cough forward, you get that spray directory, right? It's going to go to the floor, go to the ceiling. Now in the shield, it's just gone straight out to the sides, right? And because you have the top there, right? You're actually concentrating the dose. So anyways, got a headache about Monday night. And it wasn't a bad headache. Like it was a headache. It was just like, oh my God, oh my head hurts. Oh, it sucks. Right. Um, I think I didn't even bother with ibuprofen or anything like that for probably the first 8 hours of it. Right. And I started to cough. Right. Some of you guys who are probably on the stream here, when I was on the Twitch stream, probably noticed I coughed a little more than normal. I am always sneezing because I'm allergic to cats. So the cats come in the room here, my computer room, and it's otherwise a very closed environment. So that's why I sneeze, because there's cats and their stuff in here. And I had bronchitis a couple of years ago, and I had it really bad. Like it was terrible. Like it was almost go to the hospital. And bronchitis is one of those things that you don't. It can take a long time to get over, right? You'll keep a cough for a while, right? Like if I go to bed, once I lay down, I'll have that urge. I have to cough at least once, and then I'm good. And it's been like that for years, right? So I still do that here, normally. So I started getting a little bit more persistent of a cough. It started happening a little bit more. So I went to sleep Monday at, I don't know, midnight, 11, 12, maybe 1 in the morning. And then I pretty much stayed in bed until like 4 the next day. Because what I do is when I know I'm sick or if I'm feeling sick, I just sleep. Just shut down, let the body do its work, right? And it will. I mean, that's why I never worry about the flu vaccine. I am almost never sick. When I'm sick, I am sick, right? I'm like out. But I stay in bed, right? Bed, bathroom. That's it. And usually within a day, right? Sleep for 16 hours or something like that. I'm good. Like I can get up and I'm still a little sick, but my body's had a lot of time to fight it. And so, still had a little bit of a headache, Tuesday night, right? The cough thing was still kind of a deal. And then by Wednesday morning, the headache was done, right? It's not there anymore. So yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, I basically just had the cough. Yeah. Wednesday, Thursday, just the cough. I never had a fever. I've never felt like I'm cold or anything like that. Now, part of it, and I had a really sore throat. Sorry, I had a really sore throat Monday, Tuesday as well. Sorry, yeah, sore throat Monday, Tuesday, yeah, and bit of a headache. Now, I attribute the sore throat to all the chemicals that I put in my beard when I do Santa, because the chemicals that are in there, I mean, it's meant to be sprayed on your hair, not meant to be put in your beard. And so there's like propane, formaldehyde, like there's some nasty ass chemicals in some of these sprays. And I use a couple of different ones, right? So I kind of get a nice gray with some white, because Santa isn't just going to be straight white, not with me, not with this kind of beard. So, I do a very nice gray, kind of a very nice gray, and yeah, so I just attributed that to this because I was starting to get a sore throat over the weekend. And again, that's just from breathing that stuff in because I didn't wash out the beard. So I put the stuff in Friday morning, and then I left it in till Sunday. And then every morning I just put on a little more spray and just kind of fixed it up a bit. But that is a symptom of COVID. That's why I'm thinking I got it. If it's 3 to 10 days that it incubates for, then I could have gotten it Friday, but I could have gotten it a few days before. And like I said, I have a couple of ideas but again, it's kind of irrelevant, right? Because it's all Walmart, Costco, stuff like that, right? I mean, I could be pumping gas at Costco and the guy 2 aisles down could cough and it would spread my way, right? So contact tracing is kind of a joke. I would say now Friday into Saturday, I started getting the body pains. And this is the annoying part. So it started my right hip and my right leg, kind of between your calf and your ankle, right? Like just above the ankle bone there. And a little bit in the knee, not so much. A little bit there. Annoying is what it is. Because it's an uncomfortable pain. It's like, I mean, I'm getting a little older now, so it happens a little more often. But you ever have that situation where you just move your joint wrong, right? And it kind of stops, right? And it's like, ooh, right? And you got to put your arm back down. You kind of go back up again, and then either you'll get a little pop or something, and then you're fine, right? Like sometimes I have to, do my knuckles, because I, like in here, I when I was younger, I did a little fighting, and so my pinkies, I didn't punch very well a couple of times, and actually pushed. I think this knuckle's actually pushed back a little bit, and so I got to pop them every once in a while, right? Because they'll just lock, right? You'll lock, it's like, oh, and you'll get people that do that, so they snap their knuckles all the time. It's kind of like that kind of pain, right? Like you need to do that, right? So you're constantly straightening the leg, flexing the leg, moving the calf up and down. But the pain just don't go away. It's annoying. This is the kind of pain that you do wish on your worst enemy because it's annoying. And that's really what all this COVID has been. Let me be blunt with you. It's just been annoying. Now, that being said, I mean, it definitely hangs on for a while because the cough is almost gone. The body pains kind of went away yesterday. So that means from, Monday, if I started presenting symptoms to today, I would say that's a week. Now, the other thing that happened, and this started yesterday. Yeah, this happened yesterday. So one of the other things, now I went for my COVID test yesterday, right? And they take this giant ass Q-tip, right? Like this is a regular Q-tip. Well, the one that they have, that they stuff up your nose, if you have not taken this, like the Q-tip is damn near that long, right? Like it's like that long of a Q-tip. Like it's crazy. And it's on like a really, really thin piece of plastic here. And then it thickens up, and then like the handle part's like there. And they basically jam this thing up my nose, and I would say they probably get it pretty close to behind the eyeball. Yeah, I'd say it's deep, man. Like it's deep. Like I hope they picked a winner. Because man, they went to the source. They were tickling the brain. And definitely you get some watery eyes for sure. But I don't know if it's because of that, but it was shortly after that, my sense of smell has altered. Now, a lot of people claim that they have no sense of smell, that they lose their sense of smell completely. Not the case. I still smell everything. But now it's like that. It's like using that cheap lemon spray in the bathroom after you've taken a dump, right? You smell the lemon, you still smell the crap too. So it's like an ammonia smell almost. It's like if you have cats and you've like maybe you've forgotten to scoop the bin for a bit and you get down there and it's just that urine ammonia smell. It's similar to that. It's similar to that. And of course my sinuses are a little plugged. Now I don't know if that's a reaction to having something jammed up into my face. Because the body will do that. But, I have this smell all the time. Now, I thought it was vinegar chips because I made the mistake. I thought it was sea salt and cracked pepper chips. But no, it's sea salt and malt vinegar. It's okay. But last night, I would say probably around 7 or 8, I started smelling the smell. And I thought it was the chips, right? And then it wouldn't go away though. Like normally you get desensitized to a smell. If you're around a smell long enough, you become numb to it. I used to do liquid manure spreading for cows and pigs. I can tell you, cows definitely cow crap smells better than pig crap at the end of the day. But, you get this stuff on you, right? because you have PTO drives and little bolts, and when the little fan shears off the bolt, you got to go back there and put the bolt in, and you're covered from shoulder to fingertip in poop, liquid poop. Um, yeah, you get used to the smell pretty quick, right? After an hour or two, you don't even notice it. You kind of forget about it. I still right now smell it. I thought maybe it was me. I had a shower before I came on here. Still smell it. So when I go through the list of symptoms of COVID, it's like it's checking off its own little box, right? It's like, we'll do this one, and we'll do this one, and then we'll do this one, and then we'll do this one, and what should we do next? I don't. It'll be a surprise. And that's basically what this is. COVID is annoying as hell. Now, I said earlier on that if somebody has dementia or cancer or something like that, that I could see how COVID can have a greater effect on them because, well, body pains are pretty common with like a cancer person who has cancer. If you have dementia, a lot of your senses can get messed up, including sense of smell. And so a lot of these things can be confusing, whatever. Now, it does also weaken your system, right? If you have cancer, your body's fighting that cancer, hopefully. Now you have COVID, and you may not realize you have COVID, but you're feeling these aches and pains. You're like, it's just chemo or whatever, right? Or that's just whatever. Yeah, I can totally understand how COVID can be a factor in increasing one's mortality. However, there was something that I believe it was the New York Times put it out, and then they took it down 45 minutes later. And basically, this person had looked at death rates over the previous years and then compared them to what we know about COVID. And Tim Pool did a great little thing on this. And if you Google it, it's out there. You can find it. A lot of people archived it. And basically what they found is heart disease, cancer, like number 1 and 2. And it has roughly how many deaths per year. This year, COVID seems to be number 1, and then heart disease, cancer, number 2 and 3. But the numbers of people who have died from heart disease and cancer are a lot lower, like significantly lower. Like statistically, it's an impossibility that these numbers have dropped as much as they have as related to previous years. And the reason for that is people are still dying from cancer and heart disease, but they're dying of these things while having COVID. And so they would have died anyways. Regardless of COVID, they would have died. But because they had COVID, it's marked as a COVID death. And so it's creating these little blips. And it's fudging the numbers. There's been many other stories about people that have died from other things. And then contracted COVID at the hospital, right? Fella tried to kill himself. Failed, kind of. Got to the hospital, died a couple of days later of his injuries from trying to kill himself, but contracted COVID in the hospital, and so it was marked as a COVID death. We also know that hospitals get a little bit more money if a death is marked as COVID versus something else. CNN, fake news, right? But if we're going to trust CNN, they even said something like 6% of all the COVID deaths are from COVID. The other 94% were people dying from something they were already dying from and just happened to have COVID, which would take our death numbers from, well, United States, it's at 200 and some thousand. That would take it down to like 60,000 or something like that, right? Not even, right? 6% of 100,000 people, 6,000. So that'd be 12,000, maybe 15, 20,000 people tops that have died from COVID. So on a worldwide, we have just over 1 million people or so that we know of have died from COVID. I think a lot more people have died in China from COVID than what we know. Worldwide, that number may actually be closer to 100,000 people that have died from COVID itself, because having had or experiencing COVID, currently experiencing COVID, It's annoying. It's a pain in the ass. Like I said, it's just checking off boxes. What are we going to give them today? It's like a crapshoot. I've had it for a week now. Back when COVID was at its worst, it would be a few days and then boom, you would drop precipitously, right? You'd have it for a few days and then it'd be like you walked into a wall, boom, and it attacked you really hard. It's been a week now. They say if you test positive, isolate for 14 days or 3 days after your symptoms have gone away. Okay, well, I've had it for at least a week before I went and got tested. So if I wait another 7 days, it'll be the 20th of December. Another yeah, pretty close to that. Yeah, because it was yesterday. So yeah, it'll be the 20th of December. I mean, do I look bad? Do I sound bad? You can check my VODs from my Twitch stream. Yeah, I got a bit of a cough. It's a little annoying. I'm still eating junk food. I sat and ate chips all day yesterday. It's comfort food, man. It's comfort food because I can't work again, right? Because I have to legally now I have to isolate. So I can't even go do my skip thing, right? That's my only form of income next to my Twitch stream. And I mean, I ain't writing checks to nobody with what I earn from there. It basically covers my gifting to the people that win stuff. And that's fine because that's supposed to be a hobby. That's supposed to be my outlet to de-stress and stuff like that. So I don't know what is next. I don't know what COVID's going to throw my way in the next day or two, but the smell thing, like the body pain is one thing. I mean, I couldn't sleep very well, but and Aleve didn't really help. Ibuprofens really didn't help. I just kind of had to just wait it out. Everything seems to be lasting about 24 hours or so of the symptoms, right? Other than the coughing, which has been relatively consistent, but I wouldn't say it necessarily has gotten worse. It's gotten, if anything, better. I've had to cough now for, I would say, 15 minutes of this video, and I haven't. I haven't had anything to drink either. And it's been a half an hour. So clearly the coughing situation is getting better. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen next. All I know is, in my experience and in everything I've read, and now that I am experiencing it, COVID is not the threat it's been made out to be. And like I said, I fit into 2 risk factor categories that the media and the government has said should put me in the hospital, right? Being obese and more or less diabetic. I should be in the hospital. I'm not. I haven't been. So, and there's lots of other anecdotal evidence out there. There's a radio host that I don't really like. He took 3 days off work. 3 days. Tested positive. He broadcast from home. Spent 3 days. And then he talked about what it was like. Very similar symptoms as me, right? He'd actually lost his sense of smell, I think, for about 12 hours. And he's a little skinny guy, so no risk factors. I think he's about my age. 3 days. And then he comes back on the radio and he starts pontificating about how bad COVID is, and how we all need to be worried and concerned. It's like, dude, you took 3 days off work, right? 3 days off work. And then now you're back and you sound fine. It sounds fine. So it's lies. That's all I can say. It's lies. It's misleading. If you're over 80, guess what? Life expectancy in North America is 72. You've lived a wonderful life. You are going to die anyways. It sucks. I know. Lady Beck's dad he's 80, right? And he's gone through cancer and stuff. Her parents are like, that's my girlfriend. Her parents are like quarantining themselves from everything. And I understand why they're doing it. I absolutely understand it, right? And yeah, you got to do. And that's what should happen. right? If you're in that age group, if you're at that high risk, that's what you should be doing. The rest of us, we should be getting this thing. Because I'm now going to be immune, whether it's for months or whatever, right? If I'm immune for at least 6 months, well, if 70% or more of the population becomes immune within the next 6 months, I'm not likely to get it again. And if I do, and because again, as far as we know, 4 people have contracted COVID a second time. And all 4 cases basically were asymptomatic. They tested positive, their bodies built up antibodies, and they basically just shut that down. It was done. COVID not in my house again. So our bodies remember. Because here's the thing. For every cold and every virus and every flu we've ever had that our body has built antibodies for, it doesn't keep building up those antibodies forever. But it has a memory, right? It's like a DNA memory, so that if we get that thing again and we've already fought it off and won, then our body just goes back to the blueprint room and just goes ham. We don't have every antibody of everything we've ever had, because if we did, our blood would move like molasses and we would be dead. It'd be like the Andromeda effect. So I've gone on long enough, I think. Maybe I'll do another little update. I haven't posted to YouTube here in a while, using the new mic, since I'm not watching a video or whatever. But not even a new mic. Just my better mic. I think it makes me want to talk a little deeper. Yeah, I like the Hodge twins. They're hilarious. Tangent. We know we're done now. Actually, I've done 36 minutes. That was my first tangent. That was completely unrelated. But all I could say is, I think the hysteria, that's the hoax. Yes, COVID can be deadly to certain groups of people. I am not disputing that whatsoever. But as somebody who does fit within 2 boxes of the I should be worried system, yeah, I'm good. I feel good. I'm good. That's all I can say. I mean, it's just, don't take my word for it, obviously. Take this as just another story, another bit of evidence that goes to disprove the media narrative and the narrative of the government that is trying to force these lockdowns, force draconian authoritarianism on us. I would definitely say, I recommend don't wear a mask. You're going to get it anyways, whether you wear one or not. But the risks that wearing a mask cause, like the chances of something worse happening, you do not want a bacterial staph infection in your lungs. That puts you in the ICU. And that is something the media has not reported on, is how many people are having these infections and they're going into the ICU. And again, the other problem with that is these things are very resistant to antibacterials because, well, look at what we're doing, right? That's the thing we need to worry about is the antibacterial resistant bacteria. And they are out there. And we know they're out there. And it's killing people too. And you're more likely to pick one of those up at the hospital. So take that for what it's worth. All of this stuff you should be able to Google and be able to back stuff up. So sorry this went on so long. I like to talk. I'm just trying to give out some information, and I hope that some of this is helpful. So thank you guys for hanging out with me this afternoon. I am going to work on some AOC stuff. I do have a couple of videos I got to react to. And come join me on my Twitch, twitch.tv/BackAltar. I'm there almost every day. And as you can see, we are doing Stream Raiders. So it's another fun little side game that you can do when we're doing Twitch stuff as well. So hopefully we'll see you there. And big, huge thank you to all of my subscribers and supporters, Gramp Games, Upfront Poop Dog, Random Runes, Fenrir, Danny Montany, Pug Planet, Yodamu, Tofu Beanie, and Quintal. These are the people that are supporting me on my twitch.tv channel through subscriptions and things like that. So again, thank you guys so very much. Have yourselves a very wonderful day. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. And please do your best to stay healthy and stay safe. But most of all, please just don't give in to the fear, the hype, and the hysteria. It's not rooted in absolute fact.